Welcome to this video. Today, you're going to add some great natural expressions to your vocabulary that will help you sound fluent and professional in a business English context. Of course, I'm Jennifer from jforrestenglish.com, and this channel is dedicated to helping you feel confident speaking English in public so you can take your career and your life to the next level. Now, before we go any further, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. Now, let's dive in with this video. So the definition of a micromanager is a boss or a manager who gives excessive supervision to employees. So excessive, this means too much. We can use excessive in a lot of other contexts. For example, in spring, you might say, oh, there's excessive rain this spring. There's too much rain, excessive. And specifically, the micromanager closely watches employees' actions and provides frequent criticism, usually over minor details. That's the key here, because the job of a boss or a manager is to watch over an employee and their actions, right? But it's really just the excessive, the closely, the criticism, and the minor details that turns a manager into a micromanager. So notice here, the micromanager. Of course, we're using this as a noun, but we can also use micromanager as a verb. For example, I could say, my boss micromanages me. So here, this is being used as a verb. And you know it's a verb. Well, for one, we have our subject, and then we also have the verb conjugated because my boss, he or she, so we need that S on the verb. So someone micromanages someone. That's how the structure would go. So we can use it both as a noun or a verb, and both are equally as common. All right, we'll go through this article together, and I'm just going to point out some expressions as we go along. So we're not really looking at it for content, we're looking at it for the expressions. If you've ever worked with a micromanager, you know how unproductive and demoralizing it can be. Okay, that's pretty bleak, right? Unproductive, demoralizing. These are pretty negative adjectives, especially demoralizing. This is really negative. But notice the question, what verb tense do we have here? If you've ever worked. So when we have ever, this is our keyword for the present perfect. So as a question, I could ask you, have you ever worked with a micromanager? Have you ever worked with a micromanager? So answer me now. Have you ever worked with a micromanager? I'm sure your answer is yes, I have. We pretty much all have. This control freak is reluctant to delegate, may second guess everything you do, and can shake your confidence in your own abilities. So control freak, this is a really great expression. Let me show you what it means. So here's another cartoon. You know, there are just so many cartoons on Google Images about micromanagers and control freaks because there's so many of them in society, right? So I'm not really a control freak, but can I show you the right way to do that? So of course, a control freak is someone who wants to control the way things are done. And also, here's another cartoon. As long as everything is exactly the way I want it, I'm totally flexible. So of course, this is a funny way of saying that she is not flexible because everything has to be exactly the way I want it. That's the opposite of being flexible. So that describes what a control freak would be. The only difference is a control freak describes anybody. They don't have to be a manager to be a control freak. But a micromanager is also a control freak. That would be one of the characteristics that makes them a micromanager, the fact that they are control freaks as well. But I'm sure you've probably also worked with a coworker that wasn't your supervisor, but that was still a control freak. Or perhaps someone in your family is a control freak, or one of your friends is a control freak. All right, so we have our control freak. This control freak is reluctant. So this means that they don't want to. They will, but they don't actually want to. And of course, delegate is giving tasks to other people. So rather than doing the task yourself, you delegate it to an employee, you delegate it to a coworker, and may second guess. So when you second guess someone, it means you're questioning their ability to perform a task, or you're questioning the method they use to complete a task. It's like saying, I don't think you did this correctly. That would be second guessing it. And they second guess everything you do. Remember, the micromanager, it's all about those tiny little details. And so you can imagine they can shake your confidence. So to shake your confidence means they reduce your confidence, basically, in your own abilities. And how can they reduce your confidence, shake your confidence? Well, because they second guess you. They're constantly saying, are you sure you did it right? Are you sure you didn't make any mistakes? I think we could do this better, so that's second guessing you. And because of that, you start to question your own abilities. Simple tasks that you could accomplish quickly if left to your own devices take twice as long. Left to your own devices is a great expression. It simply means to do a job on your own. So the micromanager would probably say to someone, I can't leave my staff to their own devices. I can't leave my staff to their own devices. So the micromanager would be saying, basically, I don't trust my staff to complete tasks. But if you're a manager and you say, oh yeah, I can leave my staff to their own devices, it means you trust your staff and you're more of a hands-off manager. You let them make their own decision. You leave them to their own devices. Your efforts may be reduced to dust. Reduced to dust, as you can imagine, dust just means crumbling, basically. This isn't really an expression. I've never really heard it before, so I wouldn't add that to your vocabulary. Your efforts may be reduced to dust as the micromanager, so we're using it as a noun here, as the micromanager completely redoes your work. So of course, redoes means they do it again, and they do it again because they second guess you. They, don't trust you to leave you to your own devices, and they're a control freak. So they think they can do it better than you can. So they redo your work. Sure, you may be tempted to bolt. Okay, this is a good expression. To bolt means to leave quickly. So to bolt from your job would basically be to quit. That's what the expression implies. And tempted, of course, you might want to. You might be tempted to quit suddenly, to leave quickly. You might be tempted to bolt, but you might not have that option. Of course, not everyone can suddenly leave their job, right? So better to master the art of managing the micromanager. So of course, this introduction is just explaining why a micromanager is negative, and then the article goes on to provide some advice and recommendations on how you can manage the micromanager. Awesome job learning all these new natural expressions. So now I'm curious, have you ever had a micromanager? Or maybe are you a micromanager? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. And if you're a busy professional who's serious about improving your English speaking skills so you can take your career and your life to the next level, then I want you to go to my website, jforrestenglish.com. There, you'll find a free case study where you'll learn how to feel confident speaking English in public so you can impress your boss and clients with your message in only 30 days. To get your free case study, simply click the button, enter your name and email, and you'll get instant access to the case study. And until next time, happy studying! Awesome job with this video. It's something we can all relate to, having a micromanager. So let's start that conversation in the comments below about micromanagers. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.